And Johnny on the line, it is great to be chatting to EchoLily. EchoLily, how are you today?
I am doing very good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Now, firstly, I love the name EchoLily, but it's not your day job. Your day job is something different, something that I guess all of us should be very grateful for. And when we see you, you're taking good care of us.
Yes, so I am a doctor. I'm an anesthetist, a frontliner during the whole pandemic.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for everything you're doing. I really do mean it from all of us. Without you helping us, and every time I see doctors or nurses, especially when I'm in, there's some that visit the local shopping centre I go to, and I always go up to them, thank you, keep doing your great work.
Oh, that's very nice of you. That's very nice, and I'm sure we'll all be very happy to hear that and to be, thank you for that, for doing that.
We're grateful. We're so grateful for what you're doing, and we need it. Now, I guess your way of downloading and getting downtime is through your music. Would I be correct there?
Absolutely correct.
So how did you first get into music? Was it just an interest, or because it's one thing to just sort of have an interest and love listening to music, but actually start writing and crafting your own songs, especially the way you've crafted them, that's showing another exceptional talent that you possess.
Yeah, I've always loved music, and it has been a part of my life growing up because my mom loves music, and I grew up in Malaysia, and back then my mom used music to learn the language, to learn the English language.
Yep.
She listened to some Spanish songs, and to learn Spanish she listened to Spanish songs, and etc. So it's always been a part of my life, and I started learning piano when I was very young, and so that's more exposure to music and instruments and things. And I've always liked writing songs, writing lyrics. But like you said, it's this a whole other level of doing music, but not just as a hobby. Perhaps maybe in the last 2.5 years, I started to be really interested in sound design and making sounds using the synthesizers and keyboards, and production. So I started building a home studio essentially, and finally sort of finding that sound that I really like and that I want to share with people. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Well, I love the first single that I heard from you called "Under the Clocks," which from what they've told me and the information I've got here was inspired by a clock at a train station in Melbourne at Flinders Street Station, and just the simple sound of that, and then how you've managed to get that to evolve into your song and still have that theme, that clock theme, that ticking going through it. I just think absolutely brilliant, and that's one of the things that I love about people, when they just get that idea and go with it and see where it goes and come up with something magical.
Yes, well, thank you for noticing all those tiny details. Yes, it is inspired by Flinders Station, the iconic clocks on Flinders Station. And I remember when I moved to Melbourne from Malaysia about 5 years ago, I really wanted to, experience this sort of lively music scene in Melbourne, Melbourne Music City, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, maybe I should pick up the guitar and then get a busking license and go try busking. So that's how it all started, and I really... my first couple of busking spots are around the train station, and I meet a lot of other buskers, and one of them plays a trumpet, and it's a gentleman who plays a trumpet, and he said, the clocks, people used to say, let's meet under the clocks, meet me under the clocks, and that's all. And I thought, that's a romantic idea for a song. And that's kind of how it started. And during the pandemic, because I was very grateful, I'm very, very lucky to still have a job during the pandemic, while going to work, and sometimes I'll walk through the city and I'll see the empty train station, and felt like, just the emptiness and the loneliness, and it's just like sound in a chamber. So that's how it all started. So I started to build the sound around that with the concept of singing into an empty chamber. So if you listen to the song, it's very echoey, it's very bouncy, it's a lot of reverb, and that's actually just my way of bringing the listener to the story. Yeah, so you're absolutely right. All those tiny details were all intentional.
Which is good, and that's what we want, and then that just makes the song even more special, and the style of music that you're doing, it's all part of it, and it just draws you in, and you just want to be there for the whole length of the song, and then you don't want it to stop, and then unfortunately it does, and you go, oh, I've got to, yeah. So that's one of those things, but that's me in the music I like. But so you've got some other songs as well, and so when you're crafting all these songs, are they based around things that, like, Flinders Street Station, are they based around things like that around you, the environment around you, and then you take us on a journey into that? Or how does your song, what is your songwriting process?
Definitely inspired by things that are happening around me, or to people around me. I love listening to people's stories about love, loss, etc., and definitely would draw inspiration from all that. The songwriting process, it usually starts with an idea. I want to write about a love song that centers around the Flinders Station clocks, and that's the concept. And then I would, be in my studio, and I think, what's a good chord progression? And then I'll start writing the chord progression, and then the beat, and then the bass, and the lyrics. Sometimes it can be the other way around. It can be lyrics first. I write a story, and then build a beat with that, and then the bass, and then the chord progression, etc. So, but it's the same element, but in different order. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is the discipline that you learned becoming a medical professional, does that help with your crafting?
I think you're not the first person to say that. That definitely, I think I need to have a system in most things in my life, and I think that definitely a little bit of that rub off on how I write my songs as well. Yeah.
I did think that might be the case. I did wonder that. So is there a danger, EchoLily, that we could lose you from the medical profession and into music? Is that a possibility?
There's no such plans in the near future. I love being a doctor, and I love doing music, and I'm very lucky to be able to do both in my own pace, in my own capacity, and so yeah, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Okay, well, I feel slightly relieved, thankfully. Now, tell us about your new song. The new song is called Higher. So where are you taking us higher and higher and higher and keep going, or what's it all about?
Higher is a song that I wrote a couple of months ago, and I would describe Higher as a head rush of 90s nostalgia. And I really want the concept to be nostalgia, because I feel like, just because of what's been happening in the last 1.5 years, people are craving nostalgia. People are trying to reach back, to things when things were good and happy. And I feel like it's the same with music as well. So I wanted to dive. I dove really deep into research about music in the 90s, how music was produced, what kind of sound quality they have, and I incorporated that into Higher. And if you listen to Higher, everything from the retro drum beats, the iconic sort of the bass lines, the grungy bass lines, and the synths, things like that, they were all designed down to the tiniest detail to emulate the 90s nostalgic feeling, and the way I produce and record the vocals as well. So so that's how I would describe Higher. The lyrics, I think you're right. I just want to write a more uplifting song. That's it.
Well, that's good, because we like uplifting songs, because that's what they're all about. Does your profession ever influence your songwriting, the actual lyrics, or do you try and keep it separate?
I think it is important for me to keep sort of these two aspects of my life separate.
Yep.
But, I'm a human after all, so I think, and I have emotions. So I think the things that I experience at work or I see at work might maybe rub off sort of emotionally into how I write my songs, but nothing too obvious, no.
What about your Malaysian heritage? Does that come in as well?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Yes, I am from Malaysia, and I love, just love my country. And it's and also love Melbourne. It's like now a second home to me now. My Malaysian heritage, well, I think in terms of the way, certain instruments that I would explore, like sort of more daring to explore into the whole more traditional side of Malaysian traditional
Yeah.
instruments, for example, and just because the culture in sort of the pop culture, the music culture in Malaysia, it's a little bit it's different from I reckon growing up in Australia, the music that we're exposed to.
Yep.
And I feel like that might have influenced me a little bit as well.
I think it's a good influence.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a good influence, and it's a good marriage of all that. I think it really helps.
That, exactly. Yeah, and I've been since moving to Melbourne, I've started to learn, the Australian music culture, like music from the past 80s, 90s, etc. A little bit on Australian music history, and that's incredibly fascinating. So definitely trying to amalgamate both experiences into all my songs. Yeah.
Well, all it's doing is whetting our appetite for what's to come. I feel there's going to be some rather beautiful and interesting music in the months and the years ahead. But EchoLily, right now we've got your current song ready to go for us, and I know the Flow listeners are going to really enjoy listening to it. Thank you so much, not just as a doctor, but thank you for that. But thank you so much for spending time with us today. We really do appreciate it. And can you please introduce your song for us?
Yes, this is Under the Clock Stay, and I hope you like it. If you do like it, go on Spotify, Apple Music, or your streaming platform of your choice, and search EchoLily, ECHO Lily, like the flower, and you'll find all three of my songs there, including Under the Clock. So I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
I'm sure we will. And EchoLily, send me an email, because originally we were going to play the song Under the Clocks, and she said, could we please play her new song, which she has just released, and this is a song called Higher.